Hey, just a disclaimer, I don't actually like horror that really and permanently upsets you and scars you. I think that's just unhealthy. My enjoyment of horror media is similar to how you might enjoy a roller coaster. It's tense and exciting, but leaves no real lasting damage. The only difference is, good horror keeps you thinking afterwards. Horror, at its very core, is about fear of the unknown, right? What if I told you that's just not true? I believe people analyzing horror have fundamentally misunderstood what actually works about the genre. It's not fear of the unknown. It's fear of the uncanny and destruction of the familiar. Let me give you an example to make my point. You let me know which of these scenarios is scarier. Something is coming. Or, she looked at me with a smile on her face, but her eyes betrayed a dull, animal-like quality. Her movements were efficient to the point of being unnatural as she slowly climbed her way up the stairs. "What is wrong, honey?" she asked with an evenly spaced laugh. "Ha ha ha." The normal cadence to her voice had been chopped to pieces and redistributed to remove any asymmetry from it, or life. "I thought you missed me." As she reached the top of the stairs, I bolted into another room, locking it behind me and hiding in the closet. "You want to play hide and seek?" she said from behind the door, and then absolute silence followed, filled only with the sound of my own breathing. Ready or not, here I come. Now, I realize that's a schlocky creepypasta level example, but even though neither was really scary, you have to admit the second made for far better horror. And why is that? The first example, you were given far less information. If fear of the unknown is what drives horror, then the top example should be one of the most terrifying situations possible, right? But the second example is far more unnerving. Not because you know nothing, but because you know just enough to feel the situation is wrong. All this setup leads me to what makes Lockwood so unique, and that's how the series Lockwood & Co. handles its ghosts. Modern ghost stories don't really work well as horror. Sure, they sell well as cheap thrills, but they're not especially thought-provoking, nor do they stick with you more than 30 seconds after the jump scare is over. Now, I believe this is because writers and artists have bought into this trope about fear of the unknown, and many have also used it as an excuse for lazy writing. The moment you start to think about most modern ghost stories for more than 2 minutes, it's no longer scary, and the artificiality of it all comes bleeding through. Have you ever watched one of those films and thought, if the ghost had this sort of power the whole time, why did it wait until the last 15 minutes of the film to accomplish its goals? Over and over again, we get lazy stories that don't make sense unless you just sit back and accept there wouldn't be a story unless the ghost just screws around until the end. Lockwood is different though. Its ghosts have comparatively well-defined rules. There are categories of ghosts, and they all have limitations and weaknesses to their abilities. Rather than making the story less unnerving, it actually makes it more so. Reading Lockwood, you never feel that the characters are safe until the script calls for their death. Instead, I and the characters know what these ghosts can do. This type can turn invisible, and this kind can paralyze you if you look at it. They can go through walls, but only walls made after they died, so on and so forth. This means we know just how dangerous they really are, and as a consequence, they feel more tangible and real, rather than just an extension of the whims of the writers. This also makes them more uncanny. They operate like some sort of mix between people and animals. Snippets of intelligence or memories of their lives give them the reflective horror of zombies, while their ghostly nature lends itself to the cold fear of death. Even the rules surrounding the ghosts can be used to lead more uncanny horror. Rules are meant to be broken after all, or at least bent. Situations arise where one type of ghost can disguise itself as another, using the very rules that ground it into feeling more real to lead to greater horror when you're taken from that comfort zone and forced to face an enemy just different enough from what you thought it was to raise up dread and uncertainty. Situations like this abound in Lockwood, ghosts being miscategorized or new type of specters appearing, leading to our heroes to try and understand how it works on the fly. My favorite instance of this is when it's revealed that a long-standing rule has been misunderstood. Something like believing light can scare away ghosts, so you take a burning stick with you to fight it, only to realize that in fact it's UV rays that dispelled the ghost, and having to frantically adjust to that new revelation on the fly when the plan falls short. Lockwood does a number of things well, great character writing and a decent mystery, but I think its claim to fame is how elegantly it shows what good horror is really about. It's not jump scares or lazy writing or fear of the unknown. Good horror is making you familiar with something, establishing the rules, making you feel comfortable with it.
And then breaking all that with the uncanny. My name's Bindal Malna. God bless.